You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Game Control Live.
Hey guys, and welcome to Game Control Live. Blast us some Link to the Past tracks as we celebrate the other release of, I don't know why it just disappeared, but that's okay.
That was the 30-second buzz version.
There we go. A Link to the Past Dark World theme orchestrated remix by DeceusSTL. And all the way across from me, the lovely Grant Kohrmann.
You are looking lovely, sir.
Very lovely.
I don't think your mic's on.
No, it's on. It's on.
He just likes to mumble.
The dulcet tones.
And joining us once again, it's been way too long, Patrick Dees.
What is up, man? It has been way too long. It's good to be here. Good to be here.
Patrick Dees of Pixel by Pixel podcast,
Yes, sir.
PXP. And next to me, the lovely Kaori Takee.
Hi guys, hi guys. Happy Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, that's right. It is Thanksgiving week.
It's going to blow right past me. I'm going to forget about it.
It's a good time to play games.
When in LA, everyone's an orphan. Everyone's an
Yep,
orphan Thanksgiving. Hey guys, I'm Dave Klein. Thanks for joining us. And in the booth, John Quick.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. John Quick in the booth here and bringing you the mystical, magical, oh so decadent telephone number. Yes.
Yes.
Are you going to step all over my goddamn line, dude? Seriously. Just be a buzzkill, why don't you? All right, fine.
Okay, yes.
Numbers down there. You happy? Everybody, back to you.
Oh, that's the music just cuts out. We're done here.
Grand
Show is
Buzzkill
over.
Kohrmann.
I think that's more YouTube's fault than Grant's.
Show is over. Music's done.
What's the number physically? I mean,
424-256-1729.
There it is.
So,
There you go.
and speaking of which, we have a fun topic we're going to come on eventually, which is what is your biggest gaming achievement? We love to hear from you guys. Do call in and let us know what your biggest gaming achievement is when we get to that topic. But we have a lot of quick hits for you guys. Crash Bandicoot may be coming back. We've got John Carmack leaving id Software, Apple acquiring Primesense, and tons of other quick hit stories for you. But let's go ahead and jump on the big news of the week, which is that this past Friday, Xbox One was finally unleashed upon the waiting in line audience.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was unleashed.
It kind of was.
And we got a bunch of updates for you. First update is, let's talk about the fact that some Xbox Ones are making a weird noise if you put the disc in.
We're all technical people. I love how this problem has been diluted down to it makes a weird noise. Are we also
It sounds like a robot is vomiting when I try to put it in, or wrote
when you put a
Amazon
disc
user
in, it sounds like
JM.
it's wiggling. Can't you just all assume that there's something mechanically wrong with the motor that runs the disc and the disc drive? Can't we come down to that kind of an agreement that that's what's wrong with it? That's too goddamn logical, Grant.
I think you're assuming that everyone who plays a video game is a tech-savvy beast.
I do this with my car. Like I take it to the mechanic and I'm like, dude, I don't know, it's making a noise. I have no idea.
He's
He's like,
freaking complicated nowadays. But when you put in the disc, come on, these things have been around since before that. But on computers, 1995. They've been around for nearly 20 years.
cars have been around a lot longer, and I still, if they say, hey, your flux capacitator's fucked, I'd be like, all right, I'll just throw the money down, please fix it.
Oh wow!
Nothing about cars. I'm the same.
There's a leprechaun in the tailpipe, and you're like, all right, fix it.
That's the last thing I want on a road trip.
Definitely don't want that.
Here's what I'll say. This is a nightmare, man. Like, we talk about an ouch. It's what's the sounds like the thing's trying to vomit when I put a disc into it. What's the quote?
It's
It's-
disc error. It sounds like a robot is vomiting when I try to put a disc in.
Dude, I'd take that gentle blinking blue light of death if I'm Sony over that quote all day long.
Well, you have some personal experience with this.
That's true.
I am a victim. So my I was super excited. I got my Xbox a day. Well, I got it on launch day. I got home. I was I was traveling. I came home, fired it up, plugged in the cable, went through the entire UI, threw in Rise, and nope. Whole thing crashed, boots me completely out of the system. So put it in again, thought, okay, it was just, it was an error. 7 crashes later, I get it. You don't want to play Rise. Totally understand.
Was your Xbox vomiting too?
It was not vomiting. So it's no noises emitted from the machine. But here's what I'll say too. Like, so I'm a sucker for Microsoft. Like over the 360's life cycle, I lost 5, count them 5 to Red Rings of Death.
Oh,
wow. So I am no stranger to this.
What was your?
They just know Dees is going to put up with it. They're just going to
hold on for a second and say,
Holy crap, right?
did you get them refurbished and sent back to you, or did you get brand new units? How was it going about?
Well, over the
let's put it this way: how long into the Red Ring fiasco did you start replacing them? Because the first replacements, they didn't really fix them all the way. So if you were some of the first people to experience the Red Ring of Death on the Xbox 360, you could have gotten 3 or 4 into replacements and not really seen the fix that fixed
I think
it.
I was far enough along into the life cycle that they should have known better is what I feel. But I felt like first of all, I mean, it's a launch console. They're going to be at a certain failure rate. I knew what I was signing up for, so I wasn't violently upset. Just kind of like
passively upset.
Like, come on. I've been waiting like 8 years and I don't get to actually play. But here's what I will say about Xbox support. So we were talking off mic, like they've been unbelievable. So I expected it would be a 2-3 week delay. Oh, probably they're back ordered, so deal with it, watch your cable. But no, if the program is now, they'll actually send you a box without even asking any questions.
And it was that way with my Xbox 360 replacement as well.
They
sent me one ahead of time, and then
they didn't even ask me. You put in your serial number, and all you say is send me a new one. They don't want to know anything. They don't want to diagnose.
A huge company.
It's fantastic.
Well,
so mine's already in the mail.
Maybe they just have a lot of experience with bad Xbox One.
Well,
that's mostly people say
sure.
oh, they've had problems with their products, so they know how to handle problems.
I think it's a day one thing. They just don't want the bad press.
Nintendo
I think that's a part of it.
Sony and Nintendo have they're huge companies that have problems with their hardware too. We've got the Blue Ring of Death, we've got the Blue Line of Death on the PS4s, and Nintendo's had problems with some of their launch consoles and devices as well. Their network for that reason, but I've never seen something that has surprised me as much out of those two companies as the replacements for the Xboxes. They just jump on it, and they throw millions of dollars behind these replacement programs because they don't want their customers unhappy.
Well, it's a war for heart and mind. So I work in wireless, and the failure rate on consoles is well within normative consumer electronics.
Yeah.
But I will say but I mean they're orders of magnitude more aggressive when it comes to your point, replacing it and get you back playing. And I think because they're aware now, especially in this hyper-connected universe, that gamers are a loud, very vocal minority when they're unhappy.
Yeah,
so,
the days are gone of almost any really large consumer product going like, oh, you got your first day device and it's failing. Okay, well maybe we'll get you one in the next 2 to 3 weeks. They have stuff set aside specifically for this type of failure.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I would agree with you, right? Gone are most of those days, but even in wireless, it's not this fast. It ended up being a terrible experience, but at least Microsoft's doing everything they can. And near term, I can play a couple of games. I'm super enjoying the cable interface. So
a lot of it's going to happen too when you ship units. Sometimes that happens just during shipping. But Angel's saying on the chat, I would have switched to Sony after the first Ring of Death. Well, with PS4s, you're getting the blue light right now, so they're having their own red ring.
Blue line.
The blue line. But moving on to another topic with Xbox One, it has sold over 1 million units in day one. PS4 sold over 1 million units in day one. But the thing to bear in mind is PS4 was US only, Xbox One was multiple regions. So
I would say this. Another thing I noticed with the sales difference between the two units is PS4, I walked onto the show floor and I found a PS4 ready to go. If I didn't have my pre-order, I could have gone into the Best Buy and bought one right away.
No kidding. All right.
With the Xbox One, I arrived at the same day on a Friday to get mine at the Best Buy because I pre-ordered both of them at the Best Buy. And I walked in and the lady gave the last Xbox One Day 1 edition in that store to the guy that was next to me who had his pre-order messed up. So, no, not for me. I had mine
just
already.
Extra
but
stock.
I'm saying, as far as anybody else that was concerned, that was the last Xbox One in the store. So from what I'm seeing, I think the Xbox... Oh, God, there were so many fucking Xbox Ones and stacked up to the roof in the Best Buy, too.
Well, it's interesting,
the
though,
demand
that...
for the Xbox One, even though it was $100 more expensive, was still right in line, if not
Well, I'm saying it's interesting, though, that... PS4 sold 1 million for just one region, and Xbox
regions.
One sold 1 million. PS4 was just US,
USA
right?
and Canada.
Yeah, and
US and Canada.
And Canada. And so,
But Xbox One is still multiple. I think in Europe as well.
13,
and Japan, right?
13 markets.
Yeah, so
That number is a little bit deceptive. I was really impressed with the demand here
before you
domestically.
really figure it out. And even then, they're gonna hold their numbers close to the chest, just because if you release failing numbers in the face of your competitors' like amazing successes, that could lead.
But then they just won't release numbers. I mean, that's the
they
thing.
would. They're going to keep the numbers. The failing.
But they
person will
did.
keep
They
the
did release
numbers.
the numbers, like 1 million worldwide.
They released it because they knew that both of them were going to sell out at launch.
Yeah.
And they already kind of knew exactly how many of each competitor. Microsoft knew how many units Sony had made. Sony knew how many Microsoft units were made. So I mean, like the first month, they can both come out and say we sold them all.
Yeah, but I mean, there is some semantics there. Like, I mean, I was impressed at the demand here domestically for the Xbox. 100% I was, but that's
And $100 more
Really?
expensive.
Yeah,
Everybody
I
was
was.
saying like it's the $100 price difference is
No.
going to spell the death for it, and it didn't.
I
at
was
all.
I was excited about it, but they're getting tricky with the language here, right? I mean, again, it's 13 markets versus 2. It's just like Call of Duty this year when they said they did $1 billion sold into retail. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
sold through to consumers, right? So
Right.
you have to take a look at
That
how they're
$1 billion,
languaging
half
this.
Of that $1 billion could be sitting on store shelves for the next 5 months.
and returned back to returned back to Activision. So my point is, granted, I think they're celebrating maybe a little bit prematurely. It's clearly just a marketing message, but
Yeah, it's
again,
definitely
I
a
was
marketing
pretty
message.
excited.
Both parts,
I was excited
if both
about
players,
it.
if both sides in the competition are celebrating prematurely, we're still in the competition.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, no.
so on the
Look,
chat-
we want console parity, right? Like, I mean, I think it's in our best interest to root for both consoles to do
come
well
pretty
out of the
close.
gate.
Most
Sure.
respected critics are saying that we have reached a fairly good standing where one is not so completely overpowering the other.
And
Well-
for us as gamers, it's really important that both sell well. I mean, I guess that's my point. Is that the ultra fanboys? It's been violent leading
No, I
up to this,
I don't
right?
disagree. I don't know if it's been that violent. I mean, like
I don't think so either. I think,
Oh, really?
yeah, I think that people are very loyal to their brand and they're not going to cross over and.
But that's
hate
what
on
I
The
mean.
it.
only people
it's
I've
the-
seen really getting upset have been PC gamers. Honestly, that's the most I've seen. Is like
Yeah,
people
those guys, those
PC
elite
gamers going crazy.
PC gamers.
That's honestly, I've seen more PC gamer fanboys than any Xbox or PS4
God
fan.
forbid.
Oh, man,
fanboys.
I
mean,
wholly disagree.
I'm a PC gamer player at heart, but God forbid, like all computers were wiped out one day and everybody had to go out and buy a new computer.
So on the chat, they're talking about the blue light still. Kevin Moreno saying the blue light of destruction. Angel saying, I call it the blue pulse of death. Sounds more catchy. I like that.
yeah, I like
Can we,
it.
can we
But
do
let's
something
go
a little
ahead
bit
and-
less, like, can we come up with really quickly a name that's like a little bit more optimistic, just to throw it on
For
its
blue,
ear?
no, that's the whole point.
The blue line.
Why would you do that?
How is that going to be optimistic anyway?
I like a little bit of optimism in this.
So,
this kind
but-
of- it's not really that significant of an issue either. Like,
Why not go nostalgic?
I'll
It's
think of
just a
something.
blue light special.
But let's go.
Yeah, the blue light's
I like
light
this.
special.
I like
That's what I'm talking
I like
about.
it. I like
That's
it.
exactly what I'm talking about.
But let's go ahead and move on to the overarching theme, which is Xbox One, PS4, Wii U. All the major consoles are now out at this point, and Wii U, if you want to count that, Steam Box isn't. But now the dust is kind of settled. Everything is out. And, I mean, we have places like Best Buy saying they're confident they'll have stock, speaking of stocks, of both PS4 and
Yep.
Xbox One, and obviously Wii U, throughout for Christmas. So I guess they're not too worried about being sold out completely through Christmas.
Oh yeah, and then the just came out this week, or is it just came out last week? Yeah, last week is the new Wii Mini.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, the
that's
Wii
right.
Mini. But we'll see how that sells. It's funny that
You
they're
know-
trying to market the normal Wii as opposed to Wii U still.
I have a prediction that Nintendo is going to do a lot of sales this holiday season because it's relatively inexpensive and it's family friendly, especially the 3DS.
Well, now they finally have Mario. Well, the thing is, they finally have a Mario game.
There's some software.
Yeah.
I would
That's
agree with
that
you.
too.
Finally, if anything's going to move you in,
Well,
it's I agree.
and speaking of that, the software for all of them, at this point in time, I would honestly rather own a Wii U than the other two systems. And it's not for the sake, I'm not saying like, I do love Nintendo games, but it's not for that sake. It's just because right now, at this moment in time, Xbox One has like 4 games. And if you look at the reviews of all these games,
Yeah.
all the Xbox One games are pretty much getting destroyed. Dead Rising 3 is the one that's doing the best, and that's got about an 85% average.
Yeah. That and Forza, right?
Right, and
Forza-
Forza. Yeah, Forza's
pretty
doing really well.
critical,
But
yeah.
if you're not a
Forza.
big racing game fan, like
Totally.
then that's not going to matter.
How's Rise
But
doing?
again, PS4 though, Rise got like a 65%
Ooh.
average.
Selling
Yeah.
very well.
But
Yeah.
but it's selling well. But I mean, it's one of the only games out there, so you're
Yeah,
gonna buy
no
No
something.
Yep,
one's going
yep.
home without it.
But again, like a PS4 though, PS4 you have Knack, which again not doing too well review-wise. As far as good games go, because the Wii U has been out for a year,
Yep.
and again, when the Wii U launched, there was no reason to buy it.
Nope.
But at this point, because it's been out for a year, at least it has some software. So if I had to have one system right now, that's the system I'd rather have right now.
Well,
This
yeah.
is speaking right now, at this moment in time.
The price is a good selling point for parents that have children that want to play with them.
Yeah, no.
I just predict it's going to be the console of the holiday.
I think you're right. I mean, Dave, I get what you're saying completely. I mean, launches are notorious for having just a shitty software lineup, right? Like they're
everything.
mediocre at best. I think
Everything
we start
does.
seeing our killer apps coming into March of next year, right?
Right, I
When
mean,
we
that's
see
like Titanfall, yeah.
right?
March, yeah.
Absolutely, and Infamous, and that's
And I
when
think
I'm
a couple
picking up
of
my
PS4
PS4.
DLC titles. I think the one that I was curious about, the Capcom one, Deep Down, I think that's coming out in March, like around that time.
Free to play,
well,
free to
isn't that
play.
I was free to play, which makes me not
Yeah,
want it. I'm
exactly.
kinda
I was
like, I don't know
nope.
about this. I was excited, don't know about it now.
I will say, of all of the consoles that are out now, I know Grant and I were talking, off mic, but like the UI in the Xbox is so unbelievably next gen. It feels like the
Rachel
future.
played this down at the last episode and the episode before that. But honestly, I am a gamer at heart. I'm not looking to my Xbox to watch videos, play my music, to control my TV. And honestly, I didn't enjoy the Kinect on the Xbox 360 because it didn't integrate so well with the user interface.
No,
but
right.
the integration on the Xbox One and the fact that every single purchase of an Xbox One comes with this Kinect device, and we were talking just before we started rolling the show, it feels like a $200 piece of hardware. It doesn't feel like the $100 that it costs.
So are you saying the Kinect's actually doing some good things? Maybe I was right last week when I was saying don't be so quick to hate on it.
Amen. No, it's magic. It
Don't
really is.
kid yourself,
I was
Dave.
sitting
You're
there
never
on my
right.
I was sitting there on my my TV lineup the other night, just going literally last night. I was going oh my god, I can grab the
so cool.
lineup and roll down through it, and it can tell from 30 feet away.
And while you're sitting down now, right?
My hand is clenching
Yeah.
and going down the list of TV.
And I was trying to tell
programs.
Rachel this. I played it at, I don't have an Xbox One, but I used it at E3,
Yeah.
and I was really impressed with the Kinect. It's way better.
The fidelity from the
Whatever.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's
for the
fine.
fidelity, the motion tracking is nearly 1-to-1. I think that's impressive. But for me, what's been most amazing is actually the voice response.
Yeah.
I know it sounded like crazy talk. If you told me 6 months ago that I would be super excited to walk into my living room and go, "Hey, Xbox, turn on," and it
then
fires
power
up.
off.
And it's,
John should
and
know a lot about this.
I've got it.
Well, ours only works if you get pissed at it.
John, every time I walk in, John's always had Doctor Who on every single day.
Good
He's
man,
constantly
good
going,
man.
Xbox play!
It's not
Xbox!
Xbox!
I'm like, John, there's a
play.
fucking controller next to you. Just stop screaming at the Xbox.
I
The
like how the
goddamn
Xbox
Kinect's
One
there.
tells you. The Xbox One tells you, don't yell at your Xbox. Just speak in normal tones.
Well, yeah, that's
You're
what-
just supposed to speak normally because the setup process has you listen. It listens to your speaker system as it's playing out everything, every single channel on a multi-channel speaker system. So it should be able to hear you even while a program's playing at full volume.
No, but you know when you do anything, even when you talk to Siri, you kind of get in this weird cadence where you're like,
Yeah.
Siri,
Siri
remind
sucks,
me
by
to
the
call
way.
Dave tomorrow. I agree.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, but so for this is not it's just this normal cadence. You just say, Xbox go to Dead Rising, back up. Xbox resume, next page,
Yeah.
page, Xbox go to Internet Explorer, scroll down,
Does
stop,
it
click
ever
on this.
misread by accident?
I think it does.
Honestly, less than. You don't have to go through this extensive setup process. Can you please say this sentence 20 times
Nope.
so we can cue in on your
Oh,
voice?
that's a dick,
like-
but how lazy can we get?
It's not about laziness because honestly, it's easier and more simple to do it on the controller. It's about increasing that functionality across the entire board.
Well, I mean, my
of
curiosity and what
controllers.
I want to see is,
I'm not
speaking
using
back.
it to play my game.
Well, I mean,
Like,
speaking back on games, though, I am curious to see what developers will do with this now that it comes with every single system.
Totally.
the takeaway, everything, regardless of you thinking it's lazy and the developers and selling it, and you were mentioning this beforehand, is playing a game and being able to snap Twitch. I'm there and I'm playing Forza and I want to be able to snap the TV because Key and Peele's coming on, or I want to be able to snap Twitch to watch a League of Legends game while the Forza levels are loading up as a sidebar.
And
it
Forza.
works, and it's
You do that.
and honestly, it doesn't require an extensive I'm going on the computer and I'm dragging left, dragging right. And I played videos from my computer last night. I played a video on my computer, just pressed play, and the Xbox connectivity functionality with as a media component to the system of a computer and a TV and all that stuff works
I
flawlessly.
do want to say some of the comments from the chat real quick,
Yeah,
which is that
please.
Angel Watchtower saying that he was really disappointed with Killer Instinct. And actually, that's one of the ones that's rating better, but Angel agreeing, yeah, same here, Watchtower, wish it was more like the original Killer Instinct. The Rich B21 on the chat saying that Rise is so average. Combat really brings it down, just average.
Where's
I know that
Rich?
with Patrick, when
Oh
we
my
were
God,
playing
Rich is
at,
here.
I had a blast playing with Patrick the
Where's
co-op.
Rachel?
I would
There you
agree.
go.
I think I'd be interesting, Rich. I think Rich has got amazing taste. I'd be interesting to see if he's jumped into the co-op at some point. to see.
Well, I know I've been reading that there's a lot of glitches and problems with the co-op.
Yeah.
That's what I've been seeing in reviews. So I wonder if maybe that could be an issue. Because when we played at PAX together, I mean, we didn't have any really problems with it not working,
No,
with
yeah.
problems. So I
And
mean,
you
it was
guys
just a smooth
gelled well,
interface.
You were a good team.
Oh, we were a
They're
great team.
screaming, high-fiving each other.
Yeah.
More like
The best of teams.
Not
Yep.
like a, ugh.
We jumped in the air, high-fived, and then all of a sudden everything just stopped, and you heard
Right.
like epic music.
I will say, I just think the UIs, it feels, it's ineffable in that sense. It feels like the future. I mean, it's not a lazy thing, but ultimately, like I plugged in my cable box and I've got my television hooked up to it. So I can walk in the room and say Xbox on, fires
And
up my cable
everything
box,
turns
it
on.
fires on my
Xbox Watch
TV because it's a
TV.
giant IR blaster.
But I mean, speaking
And
of
it's the controller too, by the way. I didn't
Totally.
fucking figure that out, and I was like, I need to get this like cable and like connect it to this like little like tiny little thing. And like, it's the controller that's the IR blaster. It's
But I mean,
insane.
speaking of the UI, then it's also a better UI, you think, without the whole Kinect as well, right?
No.
it's the same,
No.
Well,
kinda.
Because it
with
looks
me.
very similar to Xbox's 360s.
I think it's very clean. I think it's very lazy. So with the implementation of
It gets
Kinect,
busy quick.
with the implementation of Kinect, you can find anything instantly. I don't have to dig through 47 menus. If I go, Xbox, go to settings, volume control, parental piece, you would normally have to
With
dig
that
through.
responsibility comes the fact that now they've cluttered advertisements all over the freaking screen too, and you wouldn't have gotten.
They did
those
that
on
with
the
360
PS4.
already, though.
Yeah,
360
you
was
didn't-
awful
on
with
the
that.
PS4, you don't get those unless you delve into the
Yeah.
store. So that's the difference between the PS4 and the
Okay.
Xbox One is you still get those advertisements
But
immediately.
my point is it's bad UI design. Things are buried and hidden, but super accessible if you have the Kinect.
you can move them around.
Yeah, you can.
This is one
right.
of the things that hit me like
Also bad
5
UI.
months after using my PC with Windows and the Metro interface is like I can customize it almost exactly to the way I want.
Bad
it.
UI design. They're crowdsourcing good. Like, hey, you're gonna use this shit, pin it to your home. And my point is that it's
Yeah, but
super.
on the tablets it works so well.
It absolutely works. I'm saying they didn't develop this really intuitive UI that if you just had this controller you would know where everything is. But with the implementation of the Kinect, it's so smooth.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It just really feels like that cool next gen. Like the future is here.
Yeah.
For Grant, from last week to this week, it just sounds like you are a lot more excited about the Xbox One.
I had only had a chance to test other people's Xbox Ones
Oh.
or Xbox Ones in like a very controlled environment. I knew what they were planning on doing, but I didn't have the chance to connect it to my TV, connect it to my computer, and see it all work the way I wanted to see it work.
Sure.
And like in a test environment, you get to see it exactly as they
Right.
planned it out. So when the Sony chairman gets on stage and he goes like, "Hey, buddy, join my game and play for me," that's amazing. But I want to see it work in real life. And the fact that the PS4 didn't ship with those features connected so that people could start using them right away, but the Xbox One has almost all of its features available on day one.
Except for streaming.
No,
Live streaming.
Yeah,
It's a
the
big
live
miss.
streaming.
Oh,
but-
So Den on the chat saying, with speaking of Kinect, he wonders if you have a heavy accent, if the Kinect's going to have trouble with
That's
that, and
true.
that's something to wonder.
Well, it's one of the
It's
reasons they
been a
removed some
long
of the
time.
regions when they released it was for language compatibility and accent compatibility.
Yes.
So I think they're cognizant of that.
But they're still way ahead of where they would be if it was a brand new technology today because they've had so much time to test on the Xbox 360.
I have to have you guys come over just to see this in real life because it is really something magic for
I'm
me
curious now.
for it to be.
Well, I was going to.
I'll turn it on and it'll say, hey, welcome Patrick, and my little avatar pops up. And if Grant walked in my room, it would just be like, oh, hey, Grant.
Yeah, everything that you see in the commercials on TV, it's not an exaggeration.
It's the families having fun
So
playing
it's one of the
together?
things, like the Wii and the PS4, they exaggerate with their commercials with what functionality they do.
Not
Honestly,
wait, this is getting better though.
No,
with
no.
like
On the Wii and the PS4, they currently do still exaggerate with their commercials. Or the
But
the Wii
functionality
Motion
that
Plus
they
is
do.
actually pretty good.
It
It
is.
is, but still, it's a plus. meaning it had to come out like after.
Well, no, I'm saying when the
on
Wii first came out, it was a huge exaggeration, but the Wii Motion Plus actually does work really well.
But when Grant is noticed in my environment, he can say, "Hey, Xbox, show my stuff." And if he's got downloaded games that I don't have on mine, it'll show access to his games.
That commercial where the
really
girl
cool.
comes in and takes control of the TV and starts playing Dead Rising 3 over her boyfriend's football game. That's not like an exaggeration.
That's real life with Rachel.
It's time for time,
That's
and
crazy.
it's that quick too. It's not like, oh, it takes like 50 seconds to start that up. It starts immediately.
so
You
fast.
can do it in the same time that the commercial takes to do it.
And it's neat, like all your saves are cloud-based. So Grant can come over to my house, and if he's further in Rise,
I
he
didn't
go,
even know that.
Xbox, show my stuff.
Oh my goodness.
He'll say, Xbox, show my stuff, and it'll change his color
Show my
scheme instantly.
stuff.
That's what it is.
That's very
it changes
cool.
his
I
color
haven't
scheme.
tried that yet. I haven't
You
gone
guys
to
need to,
other
like,
people's houses
test
to
it out
see
on
if
each
it
other.
doesn't know me over the internet. Does
Yeah, it does. Your profile is, it's all in the cloud, as are
Wait a minute,
your
do I
saves.
actually, I mean, if I just walk into your house now,
It'll say, "Hi, Grant." It's only
What?
100%.
No way.
On
That's
top,
weird.
on
I'm a
top
very
of
lonely
that,
gamer. I'm at home playing on my
Look,
own
if
Xbox
On top
One. I
of
haven't
that-
tried this on
pronounce
other
my name,
people's.
then I okay.
on top of that, it's going to load your saves. So if you're further in Rise, you're like, "Hey, let me show you where I am."
Which I definitely
You
am.
definitely are, because I've gotten
Because you
through
can't play
I've gotten
it.
through the title sequence at this point. But yeah, it's really neat. It is future feeling. Coming all the way back around, what you said about the Wii U makes complete sense. Even though mine's bricked most of the time, I'm having a lot of fun just dealing with the UI, and it's kind of cool. We're at the place where these consoles are going to be their weakest right now. If you can say this is the starting point, they're only going to get stronger and more feature rich. Has me pretty excited about the future of this console.
I picked a brilliant game to start off with on the Xbox One and the PS4. For
It was a
that matter.
DLC Crimson Dragon.
I picked Forza 5, and I
The
love
controller is what everyone's blasting off about for Forza.
I love
That sounded.
Top Gear. So the fact that
If you
all
mean
the
they
Top Gear
came,
personalities
okay,
are
we
in
get
the
it.
game, and the way that the game's organized, the social features, they were playing up the Drivatar at E3, how significant will your Drivatar be in representing you and other players in the game, and the fact that you will never be racing against artificial intelligence,
Which
by
is
the way
really
that
cool.
It actually works. You're racing against other people, and their choice in lines. How they approach a corner, how they race around a track, it gets implemented into the first race that you play in the game because there was so much testing that went into the game before it was released. So I'm racing against real people.
I think it's
who
awesome.
make dick decisions on the racetrack at the same time.
Well, I do want to also talk about some of the hardware stuff that we're coming out with, is how they're selling. And PS4 actually selling right now, the report is that they're basically selling at exactly the manufacturing cost. They're not making a profit. They're not selling it at a loss. It's right flat line. I assume the Xbox One, we're not getting reports, but I assume it's pretty similar with Kinect. It might be actually a bit of a loss for them. But
They may be upside
feels
down.
like I said, it feels like a $200 piece of hardware. It does not feel the Kinect.
Well, I mean, keep in
Doesn't
mind with the
feel like
Kinect,
$100.
the Kinect was initially $70 for the first Kinect, so
This
a new
thing is
Kinect now in the future.
But the original Kinect was limited by its cost. When they said that they wanted to manufacture for that amount of money, that's seriously limited. There was no USB 3.0. There was no super speed. The bandwidth on it and the resolution and the camera, everything was hampered by the original cost of the original Kinect. This one wasn't limited by cost, and every time they ran up against a barrier that would have decided how cheaply it was produced, they just said, to hell with it.
Well,
produce
another
it at a
thing,
loss.
the Wii U, and to add that in, is actually selling at a loss. So we know that for the Wii U, is they're selling at a loss.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? These console makers, they ultimately make their money on software licenses and increasingly more purchases that you made in their ecosystem. So it behooves them to get you to get you on their ecosystem even at a loss, because on a long enough tail, making some money on D to the K.
But I was surprised, the PS4 was slated to be produced at about a $70 loss. Most analysts and even some, insiders had said, we're going to lose about $70 per console. So that means they must have gotten to a point prior to launch where they were actually producing those new units they made available for pre-orders at a much less of a cost in order to reduce that loss.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our fun topic, which is what is your biggest gaming achievement? And guys, if you want to call and let us know what your biggest gaming achievement is, let us know. 424-256-1729. So just an achievement that you're super proud of. To this day, you still trail strangers on the street that you've never talked to before, and you just whisper quietly in their ear like, "I did this."
I would be really creeped out.
I don't know if you notice. Random person. That's what I do when I'm hitting on a girl. I really just walk up and whisper in her ear. I don't know if you know this, but I'd be super meat boy this time.
And she's yours forever.
And she's like, ah!
You instantly know she's made for you.
What is this? Yeah. But I guess I'll go ahead and start off with mine. And I guess the one that I still think about is honestly a recent
Before
one.
you say this, I'll be the person reacting on the street for you.
Okay, he's gonna
goodness.
whisper it into our collective ears what's happening.
It's not a game a lot of people have played, but when Super Hexagon first came out, I was one of, I think, like 100 people who actually beat the game. And it's one of the hardest games on iPad.
I remember you told me this. You were ranked as far as like
no, it was like top one. I don't remember, man.
As it was going,
that was like a year ago.
It settled down, but I remember you told me like you were in like the top. You were in the top 10 on a certain level of how quickly you made it.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I guess that was like
for a period of
there were
there
were a bunch of levels that was in the top 20.
And it went on, and I'm sure it got more complex.
Right. Well, it was more of like I just kind of stopped playing, so everyone who kept playing, surpassed me. Yeah.
Honestly, though, as a testimony, I've seen Dave play this, and he's a freak. I mean, it's like I feel like he could just close his eyes. I mean, like it's like Dave has told me he's pretty good at games, and yeah, okay. I mean, I bet you are. And then to see it in action, he's like the wizard. I was like, he was Neo. He doesn't even see he doesn't even see the Matrix anymore.
I go to the secret area in Super Mario 3. Power Glove is so bad. So I'm gonna keep on doing wizard stuff.
Let's do some more quotes from that shitty movie.
Well, I think that this
that makes for good. It's good TV. It's good TV.
I think I don't know. I mean, I think there's harder games than Dark Souls. Like to me, that I'm more proud of my achievements. Like, yeah, I love Dark Souls, but doesn't mean to me it's the hardest game.
You should be.
So yeah, like Super Hexagon, I think is a harder game. I'm more proud of that achievement. Super Meat Boy, I was in the top 50 for a while on speedruns, and I was more proud of that achievement because to me that was a much more difficult achievement to get. So I still think it's weird for me because I've been playing games since I was 5. Actually, since I was 2. I beat my first game when I was 4, so I've definitely been playing games before then. But like the achievements I really think about are modern games, even though I think that most older games are harder.
Of the ones that you've been
Super Meat Boy was Xbox Live.
Well, I mean, like most of the ones you've been really competing or like with other people, and you're able to see yourself.
I think that's what it is. I think it's because of the leaderboard stuff that I get really competitive when I see that.
Totally.
Never had that on Super Mario or Zelda.
No, so I never had like a reason to like jump in and get really good. It was because I beat the game. I was like, all right, I had fun. I beat the game, and I didn't have a reason to get competitive.
And all of your friends would be like, yeah, I beat the game too, but you never knew how long because you weren't timing each other. And,
but what about you guys?
You want to go ahead, Grant?
I'll go.
Yeah, Kaori.
Coming from the woman who just said, I still don't know. I'm bated breath.
The first things I think about is playing Final Fantasy in Japanese because it's struggle, but I did that. And
that's awesome.
In Japanese?
Yeah.
Sugoi.
Yeah, thank you. One thing I always remember is my brother's a really, really, really good gamer. I mean, he is
and a giant
amazing.
asshole.
We've well established. We get it. We all know.
So there are 2 things we know about him.
But if I can kick his ass in Mario Kart, I can kick anyone's ass in Mario Kart, and I kicked everyone's ass who's ever played Mario Kart.
Undisputed champion. She's throwing down the gauntlet.
Drifting in this game.
So that
constantly
alone,
drifting.
That alone,
I love drifting in Mario Kart.
I use Koopa
all the
or
time.
Peach. And I'm just
It's all about the
queen.
drifting, baby.
No one could beat me.
I don't even want to step to that.
I love
that.
fighting words.
I know. I mean,
I think
so-
somebody needs to throw down on that.
Even though before the show we were all talking about how we don't really drink that much anymore, or Kaori and I were, we need to play drunk driving on Mario Kart.
I like your style. I like your style.
And it just competed that. Have you guys played drunk driving? For those of you who are over 21.
At Mario Kart. At Mario
Right,
Kart.
Not Mario Kart.
Yeah, you're like on the 101. I played drunk driving.
Scroll, but
Yeah.
on
Let
the
it-
screen.
So Mario Kart drunk driving is
Yeah,
you
I
have
will.
to, for over 21-year-olds, you have to finish an entire beer before you finish the race in Mario Kart. So the first to finish the race and finish an entire beer is the winner.
Or
we got
pop your
a
balloons.
caller.
I
We got a
can pop
caller.
We got a caller.
Okay.
I think this is
me
Watchtower Base.
Hello.
Welcome
Awesome.
to Game Control. You're on the
I think
air.
this is Watchtower Base. I think it might be. Hello?
Yeah, you guys got it right.
Whoa! Grant's a winner. Chicken
Big
dinner.
time. Welcome.
All right, here's my achievement. It happened maybe a year or 2 ago. It had to do with Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a little local tournament, and all of my friends are really good at the game, and I hardly played it now because I wasn't really into fighting games at that time.
Sure.
Marvel MVT was probably like the only one, but everyone thought, oh, he's an easy win. Maybe 20 minutes later, everybody was looking at me pissed off because I've beaten them twice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What
That
characters
sounds
were
awesome.
you?
So it's natural
that
gaming
asshole.
skills.
That's fantastic.
So do you really like the game now?
Marvel vs. Capcom 3 it's all right now, but I still prefer MVC2.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
characters did you beat everybody with on your first try?
Let's see.
Everybody
I
remembers
used-
their go-tos,
I
I would
used-
say.
Let's see. I used Mega Man, Akuma, and Iron Man.
That's a
I was
pretty
gonna
good
say, Iron
lineup.
Man's a
Although
pretty,
Iron Man
Iron Man's
is
a
a
pretty
lineup.
typical one, I think.
Iron Man is a cheese in MV2, but those other two, if you were doing well with those are pretty standard
Yeah, man.
characters.
Akuma's solid.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for calling, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks so
thank you.
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, or Marvel vs. Capcom in general, Kevin Moreno on the chat saying beating Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the arcade with Zero continues.
Yeah,
Especially in the
that's
arcade. That's a big
good.
one.
A machine designed to suck
Yeah.
your quarters, that's an
For
achievement.
sure.
Dan on the chat saying my biggest achievement is replacing the whole sphere grid in Final Fantasy X. And Rich B21 saying getting the seriously achievement in Gears of War for getting 10,000 kills online. And
That
that's
is
a long time.
ridiculous,
That's
my friend.
crazy.
My hat's off to you, sir.
Yes, that's a pretty nice one. I didn't play Gears of War online enough to get any of the online achievements.
Yeah, I enjoy Gears of War online, but I didn't play it that much. So
It's a
well
commitment.
done.
Yeah, amen.
And a lot of some of those Gears of War achievements were far off. Like they're like Call of Duty, like where you have to get like a prestige level like multiple times over in order to get it or kill a number of units.
But So before we move on to you guys, I have a quick question. Kaori, did you actually get better at Japanese by doing that?
Yeah, you do get better, but then if you don't keep doing it,
Yeah.
goes back
Right,
down.
right. It's
It's just
practice.
Yeah.
that's actually how I learned to read. Basically, it was
Yeah.
because I wanted to play video games,
Yeah.
RPGs so much. I was like, I need to get better at reading so I can
Actually,
play
like-
RPGs.
It is funny what you pick up. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I only know the rules of hockey because I played NHL '94
Yeah.
way too much.
When I was younger,
I think people know the roster of teams better because of that, because of sports games. But sorry, go
Amen.
on.
Okay, just like Japanese games and Japanese consoles came out earlier, so we would have like the Super Nintendo in Japanese before
The
it
Super
actually,
Famicom.
Yeah, before it
Yeah.
got released in the States, and we would play Japanese video games that way. And so
And
it
didn't they have
helps you.
like unbeatable games that would just go
have
forever and forever?
ridiculous
Yeah.
And the cartridges.
We thought Battletoads was hard.
I got a Super Famicom like adapter for my Super Nintendo, so I could play
Battletoads is
Seiken
hard.
Densetsu 3
Nice.
Oh, cool. Very
and
cool.
Dragon Ball Z games.
Dragon Ball Z games were fun.
They were fun.
Yeah.
They were good fighting
Real
games.
fun.
Amen.
All right, what about you guys?
All right, so I don't know. I don't even know how old I was. Super young. But the first time I beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch Out,
Yeah.
I was,
Good.
I
If you were
was,
doing
yeah.
it back in the day, and you're as old as I think you are,
Nice.
probably what is that? That probably when you were about 7 or 8.
Yeah, right in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I knew I was playing on Sunday, and I wasn't allowed to play video games on Sunday. It was a thing in our house, and so I'm quietly, I'm in my bedroom, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm just gonna play. I'm
Is
just
this your?
gonna-"
Is this your?
No, this is not. This is not
Did
an
you have
actual
the
speed
code
run.
so you could get to Dream, Mr. Dream, right
No,
before
see,
him?
he actually I could breeze through, but Tyson, the first minute and a half, if he
Punch the
makes
judge.
contact, you go down.
Oh, yeah.
So the first minute and a half, you can't even swing. You see when he blinks. If that connects, it's an insto down. At any
Yeah.
rate, so I'm 7 or 8. I'm in my bedroom.
And every
I'm,
other punch is a knockout punch.
I'm really
First couple
quiet and I'm
minutes.
beating him and like I'm hiding because I'm not supposed to be playing video games
Right.
on Sunday. And then I beat him like, oh yeah! I just started doing a lap around my whole house. And to this day, there's nothing that has passed that from a game.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Like, I didn't-
beating Mike Tyson.
That's awesome.
Suck it, Tyson.
I couldn't beat him when I was that. I finally beat him in like high school, I think, when I went back and played the game. But when I first played the game that young, I couldn't. I couldn't get
it's a
past
big
him. He's
thing.
insane.
It was insane. A lot of-
hostility towards me.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. I love Punch Out's amazing. I
It
tried
is.
playing
It's
again
still
for the
great.
Wii because it's a download for the Wii.
How is it?
It's good, but the controls aren't as quick.
Neither.
They're not as
Yeah.
responsive.
Really?
So for when you start getting to Mr. Sandman and Mike Tyson, it's so
Sandman's
impossible because you
brutal.
need that
Yeah.
instant feedback.
It's wired versus wireless.
Also, we didn't touch on it.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on it earlier, but man, is that D-pad for the Xbox One really sexy?
Well, I
so
don't- I'm
clicky,
not
it's
quite
so good.
emotionally attached to
I'm
it.
pretty attached.
Speaking of the controllers,
I'm
you guys
in love.
prefer Xbox One or PS4?
I think
I enjoy I like the trigger vibration on both of them because it kind of gives like a different feel to each side. Instead of the entire controller shaking when I'm like hitting the throttle,
Yeah.
it's just the throttle.
That's a
on the
360
Xbox
only.
One.
Yeah.
On the PS4, I like the touchpad.
Okay.
It surprised me on how useful it was in games. They were telling me that I would be using the I said this last week, but they were saying that you would use the interface in a new way in certain games because of the touchpad, and it increased your operability, and it did. So
I'm still going to say I'm an Xbox controller fan. I like the offset sticks, but I will say, the rumble motors are impressive. It's feedback in a very meaningful way. When you play Forza, from where you were saying, so you actually feel the anti-lock breaks in the the left trigger. It vibrates like
anti-lock. Yeah, the Forza. That's the thing where a lot of people are like, "This is what found next gen."
And you get a different speed vibration on the right trigger, which is the gas. So it's more of the pedal pushing back a little bit, as opposed to getting two different feedbacks, and it's really meaningful.
If only the freaking thumbstick didn't feedback, that'd be like
so good.
Like over gravel. It's like, but I do feel the gravel too. Like,
I think the PS5, the DualShock 4, though, is orders of magnitude better than the DualShock 3.
Good.
Yeah,
and
so it's a great controller.
Power supply on
I'm
the
not
PS4.
a big fan of the PS3 controller.
Built-in power supply on the PS4.
It has nothing to do with the controller.
PS3, the Xbox One, I'm surprised at how much power they get out of those two AA batteries, because if it was like a freaking TV controller, they would have been done with that instantly.
But little known fact too, that the Kinect will actually power your controller down when you put it down. So it puts it in a low power saving mode. Kinect knows you're not playing anymore, so why
Which is a problem with the PS4. People are saying that they leave the controller on the table, and if they don't set in the settings the automatic turn off time or the automatic sleep time, their controller will be out of battery after each play.
So you get like an impossible amount of charge.
That's like,
out of these
that's
things.
actually a problem with the Wii U, is how the Wii U only lasts like 3 to 5 hours.
I've heard as much.
It drives me crazy.
It was just a little nice touch that I thought was really smart,
Yeah.
But Angel,
the console itself is full of all those nice
I would
touches.
agree.
So Angel in the chat saying his moment, his game achievements, when he lived in Mississippi, he was about 7 and beat Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the hardest difficulty with every single character.
Baller.
Damn, man.
Baller.
Wow, that's insane.
It's impressive.
That's cool.
That's really good. So, all right. I think like Street Fighter Alpha was the one I really went crazy with, but yeah.
My video game achievement, I will differ slightly from the rest of the group, including our callers, and talk about PC games. World of
What is this
Warcraft
PC
and
you speak
Eve.
of?
He twirls his mustache. He was wearing his monocle.
I don't believe.
MMOs in general are difficult to get achievements in at first. Admittedly, after time, it's easier to beat a boss because, like, as you gain higher level, as you as you progress through the game, or they release patches, like it becomes a lot easier to get these achievements. But in Eve, in particular, in World of Warcraft, it was beating each expansion's ultimate characters and getting like sets of armor as I'd go through the game. Each one of those was a milestone that I find hard to find an analogy or an analog in console games, because they took literally the amount of time that it took me to get my set armor in World of Warcraft. I played 3 times as much time in World of Warcraft.
How many
than I
hours?
did. We're talking about like 60 to 100.
Okay.
So,
all right.
like, the MMO games
We're all
are
like, okay,
truly addictive.
okay, I mean,
Truly addictive. Eve is same way. My two favorite ships that I got in the game are my Myrmidon and my Dominix, and like these are ships that take, like, for a newbie player or a player playing by themselves, they can play literally days upon days of consecutive playtime, and getting those ships and like doing so in a game where you can lose the ship is insane. So getting your money in that game, but especially before you could just pump money in and sell back the money for credits,
Right.
It was a true mark of achievement, especially in the last couple of years. It's gotten a little bit easier, and like these games have lowered the bar to get in because they need to appeal to a more casual gamer. But back in the day, those achievements were golden. Like, they took a long time to get.
Yeah, it's like something like that you want everyone to see when they look at your profile. Like, look at this achievement.
Yeah.
I have this.
Quick side note: I saw an amazing documentary this week called "AFK Away from Keyboard" about the levels of addiction that whole. Have you seen it? It's unbelievable.
I need to
Is
see
it on
that.
Netflix?
It's over. I don't know. I know it's free online. I'll send you guys a link. But I mean,
I watched
essentially,
Indie Gamer on Netflix.
it's the toll that these games can take, and they
One of
film
those
people
is
over
an
10 years.
optimistic look at video game development. The other one is
I don't know if I call Indie Gamer an optimistic look at video game development. It was very everyone was so
I felt
depressed.
pretty good about watching Indie Gamer. I felt like happy about
only
watching
Team
that.
Meat Boy, only Team Meat ended up being happy at the end.
But I
Like
know
Phil
the
Fish was
story-
not. The guy Jonathan Blow was just like, after Braid came out, I hated my life and everything sucked.
Right.
That's him. In a nutshell.
But Braid's such an emo game. Are we that surprised?
Right.
It's a fantastic game.
It's
Fantastic, but
it's neat because it follows 4 individuals from the time World of Warcraft launches for like, I don't know, the better part of like 7 years, and the state that their life is in, and how it ties back to the game.
How did they know to start following him at the beginning?
Incredible. I just think that they were
Second Life
interested.
documentary is equally depressing.
I need to see it. Anyway, it's AFK. It's totally worth a watch.
Kevin
I think some of our
Marino
guys might
in
like
the
it.
chat says beating the second boss in Deus Ex Human Revolution on PC is.
That was
Okay.
that was pretty good. Yeah,
Yep.
Deus Ex had some bosses in it that were truly pretty fun to beat.
That's actually, I think Deus Ex Human Revolution is now one of my top 10 favorite games.
Wow.
I love that game
Yes,
so much.
Damn good.
And it's
Those-
rare. It's
love that
rare
game.
that those new games come out and really supplant or replace.
It's
like, an
very
older game.
rare.
Those conversation bosses in that game were fantastic. You know,
Oh,
when you're kind
yeah.
of negotiating via
Well, the one that tries to
conversation.
stop the guy from
I
committing
really
this-
thought that
Yeah.
guy was gonna. I really thought I added I had an edge on like my choices would make a difference, and
Right.
then when he goes the opposite way, I was like, no, fuck, I'm a horrible like, debater. I can't.
You can't talk this guy down.
So good.
I'm the worst hostage negotiator.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our gaming moments of the week.
Right
So,
on.
I guess I'll go ahead and jump on with mine again. Start us off the train with Patrick. This is your fault, apparently.
Uh-oh.
So you got John hooked on Attack on Titan.
Okay.
Oh, totally
from-
your fault then.
and-
Last week, we very nearly didn't have a show because of
So-
Attack
Is
that
on
right?
Titan.
Yeah.
We got our rundown maybe an hour or two before.
Yeah, so John introduced me to... Go about like a minute in, John. But John introduced me to Attack on Titan last week right before Game Control.
So can we spoil it now? You should have watched all the remaining episodes.
No,
of
we're
last
not.
week.
We're not
Come on.
spoiling Attack on Titan. Dude, the show just came out. We're not spoiling this show for people. But anyways, point is, a 3DS game was announced, and they just released the trailer for the 3DS Attack on Titan game.
Oh.
And I'm just like, yes, Attack on Titan.
Excellent.
I need to
hadn't
play
seen
this.
Now I have to watch
As
it.
long as it has like Titans
Are you ready to
running
fight
through
giant
cities
naked people?
with their arms flailing around?
That
And I
was
like the baby one.
Oh, that is crazy. That's insane. Look at that.
So yeah, and I'm glad you play as I don't want to ruin the show at all, but I know for part of it at least, you play as them on their 3D maneuvering devices, which is what I really wanted. I think that'd be an awesome game.
The entire game needs to
Do we
be
have a release date for this, Dave? Or
I know it's coming. It hasn't been announced yet for North America
2020.
release date.
okay?
And we get the
yeah,
music.
like a lot
Linked
of games.
Horizon is such an awesome song.
Yeah, all the music from the show is pretty good, as long as it doesn't always have constant. I mean, this is not a knock on Japanese at all, but any rock music with constant like narration or lyrics over it is gonna
No,
be
that drives me
great.
crazy too, but I actually like the Attack on Titan music. I just love the show. So that's all thanks
Wow,
to
that
you,
looks-
Patrick, and also blaming you for it.
Least I could do, sir. Least
Now
I
we
could
know.
do.
So yeah,
Knowing half the battle.
I can't wait for the game, but it hasn't been announced yet a date
Please
for the
do not
US. So
suggest any other.
Yeah.
So even if you notice, the trailer
Nothing.
is all in Japanese too, for
That's
the most
really
part.
cool.
So I really hope that they actually do port it over
So
to the
when
US.
it comes out in Japan,
Oh, you
wait a
can
couple
practice.
years after that before it ends up coming up in the US.
Oh yeah, that's right. If I could, I don't know if you can play games. I don't think you can play the wrong region games on 3DS.
We usually have like
It is region locked
hiragana
on the
on top of the
3DS, isn't
kanji, so
it?
it helps.
But I didn't mean that. I mean, I
Region
just don't
locked.
think I think it's region
Yeah.
locked for the 3DS, so I don't think you could
Oh.
actually play a Japanese game. But anyways, that's my moment. So, who wants to go next?
I'll go next because we're doing this rotation.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. All right, sounds good.
My gaming moment of the week is the report that TellTale Games is coming out with Game of Thrones.
Yes,
movie.
yes, you sent this to us.
Game
and I
Do you
was
of
want to
Thrones
slit this
game.
person's throat?
Oh, fantastic. I just want to.
Don't
I want
do
to
it. Don't do
Hit
it.
X. Or
press X to slap
Y?
Joffrey.
But that's cool.
Oh, that'd be
though.
so good.
Oh, you can
admit
slap
it's not-
Joffrey or
that's all
not.
I
That'd be the game.
How many times do you slap
Yeah,
him?
just
Like,
X,
slap,
X, X, X.
The moment like slap Joffrey comes off of his option, you're just like, yes, 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 yes.
Well,
Sleep
let's talk
with your
about it though.
sister. Things like that. It's
Pretty exciting though. Like it's a
Yeah.
great fit, right? Like that IP is just a
think so.
perfect fit for those guys.
You know, it's funny because I'm kind of mixed because I love the show so much,
Yep.
and they did do a fantastic job with Walking Dead. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
And also,
Admittedly, they did a better job with The Walking Dead than AMC did.
Yeah. Ooh.
oh,
Throwing down.
well, season one.
Fire.
Depends on the
Fire.
season.
See, yeah, it depends very much on the season.
Yeah.
But then I will say The Wolf Among Us also fantastic.
I agree.
But I don't know why.
They're
Game
on
of
a
Thrones
roll.
I'm very nervous about. And I think it's because that's
Because
so
it's
close to my
a
heart.
Great
think-
TV show.
I think it's a great fit. That show's so character driven, right? And ostensibly it's Risk, right? Like set in this crazy setting. Like, and I feel like it's perfect for that conversation engine. I'm with you. I'm so excited.
I have this trust and faith in TellTale Games.
I do.
Yeah. I don't think they're
I mean, they've been working on these IPs for a while. Back to the Future
they're going to betray
beforehand.
my trust, but there's a possibility. I just don't think they are. More so than more other games.
Perfect marriage. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, absolutely.
If
It's a
this
good
is real.
moment.
Hope it's real.
Well, last time we bounced to Patrick. So, Patrick.
Are we going to go to the outside side? None of this rotation stuff. All right,
Well, it was
so.
before we did that. So,
Yeah, we
Fair enough.
follow.
So I spent a lot of time at the gym this week because I was a little bit bummed about
always
the
at the
weekend.
gym.
I'm at the gym a lot. I'm gonna have a non-gaming moment of the week. So I thought it was fantastic. I got the
those.
Xbox. I was
Or negative gaming moments of the week.
I was a little bummed, admittedly, that like it didn't work. I couldn't play all the games that I just bought. So I was at the gym, and they have a daycare, right? Like kind of where you can leave your child and while you work out. So I was walking out, and you pass the daycare or whatever, and it says on the outside, it's got this thing where kids can sign this deal, and on the top of the thing it says, "What do you want to do before you die?" Which I thought was a little morbid to introduce to children, but
Sure.
whatever. So
That's actually
so I walked by, I saw the title, and I'm like, all right, I'm curious. What did kids
You didn't
write?
just pen something.
Yeah,
on your
well,
own?
I thought about it. So I started reading. Then the first one was like, become a lawyer, skydive. Like
become a lawyer.
Drive a.
How old are you, kid?
Drive a truck, and then like a few down, one was meet Spider-Man. And I thought that kid's fantastic. All right,
I
so
love
meet Spider-Man.
Spider-Mans.
I thought that was great.
We're giving our kids way too big ambitions.
Well,
like the Bat Kid.
Someone said drive a
gets,
truck.
Wait, it gets
Great.
better. It gets better. So I keep reading. I'm like, well, if somebody wants to meet Spider-Man, what else is there? So a couple down, it's like, be an astronaut. And then like one's like, meet Tom Cruise or something along that line. Next guy, third or fourth one down, it's like, meet Spider-Man. And I'm like, I feel like he
That
just
dude
read
wrote
down.
it
He's
twice.
like,
He
yeah,
just
no,
wrote the same thing
it's-
twice.
It's another kid, and he's like,
No, that
oh yeah,
was
that
not
guy
too
had it
bad.
right. Like
That was the
I
same
can't get
kid.
better than that.
He wrote it on the way in and then on the way out.
He's like,
That's
I wouldn't
what
want to
happened.
meet Tom Cruise. I'd want to meet Spider-Man.
So I kept reading.
And my
I re-
voice cracked,
I
yeah.
kept reading a couple more. I'm like, all right, let's see what else. So then it was like, I don't know, drive a spaceship and like, I mean, I don't know, name whatever. Two more down, and the last one on the list was, who said I'm gonna die? And I was like, I gotta meet that kid.
That's awesome.
I gotta meet that
was
kid.
Me. I wrote.
Or high five
that.
is
Had
that.
to be some cynical adult that wrote that.
I thought it was fantastic. I don't care. Cynical adult that coached his kid. That's a good parent. I was excited about that. It took my mind off of getting bogus launch console out of the gate. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's
Non-gaming
my
of the
non-gaming of the week. Who says we're gonna die?
That's
what
great.
we got.
That's fantastic.
Someone's got to school that kid. We all die.
So real quick, Angel on the chat saying he almost forgot his moment of the week. That his moment of the week is that we might get a Fallout 4 announcement at VGX.
Don't hold your
might
breath.
be. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Don't hold
there's
your
a-
breath.
Grant, your moment.
My video game moment of the week is something I already mentioned, so we'll run it quick and we'll get on to the end of the show. My video game moment of the week is getting to experience my favorite TV characters in my favorite video game at launch, which is Forza 5, and getting to experience all
very cool.
3 of the cast from Top Gear as the
awesome.
narrators for most of the game's
Ah.
cutscenes and everything.
Right.
Nice.
It's perfect. I mean, you don't just get one person; you get all 3 of these guys who are well versed in the world of radio
Yep.
and have gone on to cars. I mean, they're nuts about what they love, and bringing them to the world of video games. I don't know why someone hadn't done it sooner.
I feel like those guys are so passionate about cars, and they want you to be passionate about cars.
Yeah.
They seem like such a great fit for that game. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad you got to do
I
that.
mean, I love it. I used to get worked up about cutscenes in games. Now I'm worked up to move on to the next section just to hear them talk about cars because it's new.
yeah.
All right. Well, we got to jump on some quick hits really quick.
Let's do it.
So actually this was almost my moment of the week, but Crash Bandicoot might come back. Activision saying that they have the IP and they want to resurrect Crash Bandicoot, and I love that franchise, so I'm really excited for that to possibly happen. So that's a quick one. John Carmack has resigned from id Software, which is pretty big because he was one of the co-founders and the last co-founder who was still in the company, but he's left to work on Oculus Rift, I believe.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and this is not a surprise, and very, very frankly, it's good for his career, right? Like they're not going
Yeah.
anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I think it's very stale. Where Oculus is, again, ostensibly the future of gaming. So what a cool to be on the precipice of this whole new thing. I think it's great.
Speaking on Kinect stuff that we were talking about a lot, Apple has acquired Primesense, who are the ones who were the tech behind the original Kinect, not the new one, but the original Kinect. So maybe Apple TV implementation. Who knows where they're going to go with it? But they have acquired Primesense. So
does this excite you guys?
It does. It really does.
I tell you what, especially after having used it this week, like having the power of that Kinect with the elegant design of any iOS. I mean, talk about a game changer. It's gonna be
Well,
awesome.
we are talking about the original Kinect, not the new awesome one, apparently. so.
But I mean, you have to imagine that they've also got it better.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So, also Wii U lifetime sales projections have actually dropped. Beyond what Kaori is mentioning, they actually dropped to 25 million units for lifetime. As these are sales projections, not from Nintendo, but from analysts.
Yep.
And the
Which tend to
Wii,
get pretty crazy.
right? The Wii sold over 100 million so far in its lifetime, so they think it's going to be a quarter of what the Wii sold.
Insane.
To put it in perspective, it's about what the GameCube sold.
Right.
So we're in GameCube territory, which is again
a little sad.
I mean, which is just a first-party device, and I mean we're stuck in that world again.
Yeah.
It kind of bummed me out.
Shaped.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
And it had Eternal Darkness, so you know.
I was about to say,
Alright,
at
I'll
least
give you
they,
that, okay.
well, they
There
had
was
Eternal
some
Darkness.
upside.
Resident Evil 4 first came out on
Excellent-
GameCube, and that was
excellent point,
really good. There were some really good third parties
Sure.
that people just didn't know about. Beautiful Joe was GameCube exclusive initially.
I enjoyed that game.
Yeah, do you guys
a lot.
think they released some powerful titles during this, like right at the launch of the Xbox One and amidst the middle of the console wars? Do you guys think that was the right move?
They just released Super Mario 3D World.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's
but
definitely a smart
It's
move.
better
I
than
think that was
releasing a
smart.
crap game right
Yeah.
now.
No, but
they
right.
release a game that like
That's
all of their loyalists were going to go out and buy.
Totally, but like
Yeah.
there's a lot of noise in the gaming world. My question to you three is: was it the right time to release that, or did they let some of that noise down so they could be center
No, I
stage?
think it was a good
I think it's
time.
better to release the software right now.
I
than it
think
is
they
the
had
hardware.
to. I think at this point they had to because they don't have that many big first-party games. They had to so people would buy it for Christmas.
And
I think you're
love
right.
it.
I think
People love it.
they had to
It's
get out
gotten
before
great
Black
ratings.
Friday. I think you're right.
And Black Friday, yeah.
And I think they're trying to capture a different audience than the hardcore that was adopting the PlayStation
Yeah.
4, the Xbox One. I just still feel like, man, that's a lot of noise. Like they're not center stage at all.
Well, I think the problem too is just it's not a real major Mario game. Even though it's getting fantastic reviews, it's actually gotten better reviews than every single game that's come out for
I
Xbox
enjoyed
One
playing
and
it at
PS4.
E3. I haven't
well,
picked it up
Yeah, it's
myself.
a
Again,
lot of
because
fun.
we're a year into
It is.
launch.
But I mean, my point though is that but even despite that, it's not a major Mario game. It's not like Mario Galaxy. It's not
Yep,
like
yep.
And
it's not a major
it's
Legend
not
of Zelda game.
reimagining of Zelda,
Right.
like I'm waiting for.
Yeah, which is what I'm waiting for as well. But on the more Apple side, the first officially licensed iPhone controllers have been released.
I think that's really cool.
A Moga
But
Ace
who's-
Power.
but
It
here's
sounds
the-
like a Bond
But here's the
villain.
thing,
It
though.
doesn't sound like a Logitech
like
controller.
yeah, it's cool. It's a good idea. But the whole point of playing a game on your phone is it's convenient. Like you have in your pocket, you're in the bathroom or you're in a
It's
waiting
pretty
line somewhere.
convenient.
You just pull out your phone. But with these little things that you have to plug in, you have to have them in your pocket,
Look,
in
if
your
you have
backpack.
if you're a woman and you have a purse, it's fine.
Well, so it's perfect.
well,
so,
I ain't
like,
no woman.
I'm actually excited about it. So I'm on a flight.
okay.
If you have to say it, it just proves its own inaccuracy. If
right?
I'm just
We're all
kidding.
in agreement?
No, but so like
that's
if
cool.
I fly all the time, I'm not
We're
a mobile
nearly
gamer.
unanimous.
But if I could whip out my phone mid-flight and then have that in my
Right?
suitcase, that's a case for me where like I'm kind of excited. Otherwise, I'm not playing any games. But that controller looked pretty great. It was 360s.
See, to me, that's what my 3DS is before.
One last thing.
Or
All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
As
But
a quick hit, the cost per install for all mobile games has eclipsed the average revenue for mobile games. The cost per install is $3. The average revenue for most games estimated is going to be under $2. So if you're making a mobile game now, it's no longer the end-all world where you can just
holy-
produce something.
the holy grail of games,
like
yeah.
every single cost per install is down, and your revenue is going to be up.
They actually call it the race to the bottom.
And they just released a controller for this sector, which is starting to slow down.
I'm interested.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if it pushes it forward. But I think it's just like people are probably getting sick in a way of like the quick, easy to play tap games, and which is what most of it really is.
Sure.
And again, the thing with this controller, and I've said this before, is as cool as it may be, a lot of people still aren't going to implement it because unlike the Kinect, and this is why I think the Kinect coming with the console is a good idea. It makes it so
not
every company,
mandatory yet.
but still,
Yeah.
it makes it so every company thinks about it. Whereas this controller's not mandatory, so hardly anyone has this install base. It's a
No,
very low install
that's-
base.
I think, yeah,
and the
absolutely.
most successful pieces of
that's
software
true.
are going to be like, hey, let's make it a touchscreen interface instead, so I can
Yeah.
put it out on not just the iPhone, but on the Android and like the iPad, which
Yeah.
this controller
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
work with.
Yep,
Does
you're
it?
right.
It doesn't.
No,
No. Which is
so-
actually, I play more of my major games like that on an iPad. I hate
They
playing them on an
made a
That's
iPhone.
true.
wireless
That's
controller
true.
right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, this first controller should have been a a wireless
I would much
controller.
rather play a game like a mobile game on my iPad over an iPhone.
That's
But
fair.
regardless, Fumito Ueda apologizing for Last Guardian's delay, and he basically
So sorry.
said. But, I mean, it's been 6 years at this point, but he basically said that he's terribly sorry for various reasons. That he's kept his audience waiting for long. And at this time, he's not even really on the project anymore. His role is over. But beyond that, the good news out of it really is that he did say, I hope when the game comes out, we can release. I can't go into the details just yet. It would be good to be able to discuss it along with the post-mortem of The Last Guardian someday, which kind of implies it will come out.
Wake me up
Someday.
when there's something to say here.
me
At this
up when-
point,
yeah.
no.
I just want to.
Get your shit together. During the course of this development, there have been 3 Uncharted games launched. 3 of them,
yeah,
a
3
Last
Mass
of
Effect
Us,
games,
and a
3
a 4th one announced.
Look,
Like,
as long as it's not like
get your
Daikatana
shit together.
and how good it is, I mean.
Wake me
Stop
up.
promising.
Wake
This
me
is
up when it's here. I'm
this is
overhearing
a-
updates.
This is a Duke Nukem
Well, he
Forever
basically
for-
said that his
for them.
involvement in the project, he says, quote here, his involvement is done.
Oh, well.
He's done on his work on the project, so...
So he can.
It's a non-story, if you ask me.
Hey.
Non-story.
I see Last Guardian, and I'm just
You
a
just-
sucker for it.
we all
I'm
do,
a sucker
I-
for it. VGX has announced their nominees, which we are kind of out on time, so we can't talk about. But next week we'll talk about the VGX nominees who they've announced. So sorry
The
for.
contest
of
is
us, a lot
fixed.
of
Who
us.
cares?
Do we have can we do a quick ask about the game, just the game of the year?
Yes.
We have to. So game of the year nominees this year are BioShock Infinite, Last of Us, GTA 5, Tomb Raider, and Super Mario 3D. 3D World.
The one that just
GTA
came out.
The one that just came out.
Or BioShock.
I wanted to get all of your
I said
predictions.
Last of Us, man.
You got Last of Us. Where are you? Last of Us. Where are you
for
feeling,
sure.
Grant?
GTA 5 or BioShock.
Oh,
I
fuck GTA 5.
I mean, lamentably,
Might as well.
I think
They can
objectively, Last of Us is a better game, but unfortunately, I think they might throw it to. I
know
don't know.
what?
It's not my personal
Actually, you know
game.
what? Let me say, because I think that it's a fixed contest, I don't think Last of Us is going to win. But I think
That's
if it
the
was.
only way
I
to
know, it
say
bums
that
me
if
out,
it doesn't
too.
win, you're in the right. So.
But okay, so Last of Us or GTA 5 are the games that I think will probably win.
I think it's going to be
still.
GTA 5 or.
But I see what you're
BioShock.
saying, BioShock Infinite,
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah.
Well, so on Pixel by Pixel, my show, we're doing a year-end wrap-up, like best games of the year, and would love to have you guys on as a panel because we're going to fight about it. So at some
I
point,
will
I'd
fight
like to
you
get
to
all
death.
of us in a room
Can we do, like,
and just
physical
argue,
conversations?
and come up with a
You know, the
consensus
funny thing
game of
is
the year.
that the game
I would
that
like
no one
that.
said, my favorite game of that list that I've played, I haven't played all those games, but my favorite game that I
I'll
played on that
totally
list was
rest
Tomb
Tomb
Raider.
Raider.
I knew you were going to go. I was
I knew you were
excited
gonna
it made
say
the
that
short 5.
Yeah, I
I
was
liked
too.
it, but
So-
it just, yeah.
I don't know, my short list too. I've got Brothers that we did the rewind
Brother,
for.
yeah, that's
Brother.
fantastic.
And then Gone Home, which I don't know if you guys had a chance to play.
I'm glad it's on the list.
Yeah.
So
Okay, guys, so that's gonna wrap that up. But before we do go, I want to say that last week we asked you guys some stuff. You guys decided to talk about Anita Sarkeesian instead. So Zix the Past said, I don't understand why Anita needs to make tons and tons of videos about negative things in games instead of one 30-minute video on things she
That's
likes
her
in games
job.
and wants to see more of, because she made over $100,000 to do it. That's why.
That's her job. She's going to make more.
And he
If
said,
we
oh,
wanted
wait,
her
that's
to
right,
stop
she's an
making
attention
videos,
seeker.
She'll continue doing it regardless.
Question for next week for you guys is, what was your biggest gaming achievement? I'd love to hear from you guys. And
Yeah,
we heard from a lot of
absolutely.
you in the chat. What is your biggest gaming achievement? So because of, I almost made my moment of the week, but I didn't, was playing. Instead of buying an Xbox One, instead of buying a PS4, I was like, I'm going to spend 1/10 of that and buy a game that's awesome, and bought A Link Between
I
Worlds.
love it.
And so that's why I'm playing a bunch of Link to the Past music. So this is a really cool Marimba,
the ladder, you got it. You got it.
Marimba instrument remix of it. Legend of Zelda Dark World theme on Marimba. It's really cool. It's 3 people playing the marimba all at once, and some other live instruments by Mart Oz. That's 2 Z's, and there'll be a link in the description for you guys. Please do follow us on Twitter at Game Control Live, and check us out on YouTube at Game Control Tube. And guys, once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at the Dave Klein. That's Klein.
That's right. That is how you spell your name, and you can find me at Kaorius. Glorious.
That's how you spell your
I
Twitter.
love how you're congratulating. It was fantastic. You can find me at P to the Dees.
I can spell.
P to the DEES. Also, check us out on Pixel by Pixel. Some of these guys have been on. We're going to introduce them more. We're on iTunes, and I don't know, more conversational hijinks.
You can find me on
spell.
Twitter at GAK.
Such a good handle.
Can you spell that?
Mr. Quick, where can people find you?
They can find me at Now Quick.
Yeah, they can.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Later, Quick. At Later, Quick.
At Quick later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.